Hey, deserving listeners, Love is Blind. If you are a cast member on this show or any of the shows that I watch, please do not take what I'm saying as a replacement for a proper in-person assessment. I'm just reacting to an edited TV show. So, don't take what I'm saying about you as some indication of an accurate assessment or conceptualization. Let's watch.
Have any sort of closure with that? How do you not explain that?
I did explain that. The whole time we were so casual. The last time that I saw him was we got ice cream together and he told me about the Hinge date that he had the night before.
Okay.
This was a very...
It sounds credible, right? And it fits with everything else she was saying. Yeah. So she's like, this is a very explicit friends with benefits situation. Now, I'm going to take a guess and say that due to his weird mind, this is not going to reassure him. It could have the opposite effect because you're now explicitly talking about benefits, sex, and that's really what this is about. And it makes me wonder if he chose her in the pods because he even said that he saw her as a very conservative, not in terms of politics, but a very careful and non-party girl, someone who is, stays at home and knits all the time because of certain ways that she talks and also her career.
Explicit, friends with benefits situation. It's probably longer than it feels good to think about and hear about. But I don't understand how me hooking up with someone, me being friends with benefits with someone for 2 months equates to me not being ready for marriage.
Okay, so we're hearing a timeline. I don't think we've heard that yet. It doesn't really matter, but it does, I guess, help to flesh it out a little bit. That it was a 2-month-long casual dating relationship, and I tend to believe her. I can't know. We'll see what these other jabronis say, but she says that the last time I saw him, he was telling me about another Hinge date that he went on or that he was going to go on. That is helpful, and it would be really hard to believe that Lauren is just straight up lying about all this, So, and especially when her friends actually on camera were presenting data to the contrary. So there's a world in which if it is just pure jealousy, which it is looking like it might be on some level anyway, is for him, and this is jumping off point, is because you might have been in a situation similar to this, is to say, okay, investigate what's going on for me. Okay, well, Lauren, I've thought about it. I went to therapy and I have figured out that although you've done nothing wrong, I am insecure and there's so much at stake that when I hear about this past guy, even though there's nothing wrong, I am struggling because I don't know, I have the vision in my head. And I guess that if it were further in the past, it would be easier for me to sort of dismiss, but it feels so recent that it feels like a threat. It feels like maybe you, and I know this isn't true, but it demotes me. It feels like I'm just another casual relationship in your casual relationship lifestyle. That's not what's happening, but that's, how it's getting to me. And so I'm sorry about this, but can you show me more information or can you reassure me somehow about how you feel about me in contrast to him? Or can you show me your text, within reason? I don't want to be exposed to anything and you certainly don't have to, but if your texts back and forth with him demonstrate that you are telling the truth about all this, then that might help me. End of role play. So if it was something like that, then absolutely. I'd be absolutely supportive of that, and I would 2 thumbs up that. But the way that things are going, regardless, I wasn't really optimistic about them to begin with, but the one thing that I think this relationship could depend on was Lauren's dedication or love of him. But we could imagine that Lauren's feelings for him could be easily snuffed out or have already been snuffed out.
Of all of this, and I'm not trying to discredit how you're feeling about it, but I'm confused that this is the thing that is prohibiting us from figuring out if we want to get married.
Yeah. We're about to get married.
I know.
It's fucking weird that you were with some other guy and then next thing you know, I'm spending every night in the same bed with you.
Yeah, when he says that kind of stuff, it looks like a very simplistic, childish, jealous nonsense. That's what it looks like when he says stuff like that. Bed. You both have probably had sex with a number of people in the bed that you have at your place. You might have done it all over the place, on the couch, in the kitchen, in the bathroom, in the hallway. Like, you're both adults that have dated people before and had sex with people before. On the bed, her bed, yes. Where else would they have done it, pal? Where else did you do it? It doesn't matter. And it's fine if it gets to him. It's fine if it triggers him. It's fine if it's a little, hard to hear, and it would be better to not hear those details or something. It's okay. But that has nothing to do with her. It has nothing to do with her viability as a partner. It has nothing to do with her integrity. Well, that's interesting. So all of that integrity talk, I wonder if this is all being recreated. That would not be strange if that were true. Every once in a while I'll be talking, someone will occur to me. And who knows? It's kind of a stretch because I didn't know what he meant by integrity when he was talking about his mom, right? But it's very notable that in basically the same paragraph as he is talking about his mom passing away, that he also was talking about how very hard she was on him. I have so many notes on Dave. He said, so mom died 6 years ago, 11 years of fighting breast cancer. So I was calculating that Dave would have been between 15 and 26 while she was struggling with cancer. And he said, quote, "Mom was very hard on me about doing the right thing, like having integrity, and I haven't always had that. I haven't," and then another time he says, "I haven't been perfect. I'm just going to be intentional about the things that I do." He also said, "My parents were always making sure I wasn't making dumb decisions and hanging around the wrong crowd." So he could be both insecure about his decisions because of the way that he was being treated, and he was made to second guess everything that he wanted or decided, and just generally feels incompetent, particularly maybe about people that he hangs out with, like a fiance. And at the very same time, he could be recreating unknowingly to himself the dynamic of questioning someone's integrity and being rigidly harsh with someone and critical and not budging and not listening at all. There is a strong possibility that what we're witnessing from, it doesn't make it okay, but there's a strong possibility, who knows, total speculation, that what we are witnessing is like a complete facsimile, is that right? It's a complete mirror image, a complete replication of what the mom would do. And that rigidity and integrity, you lack integrity. It would not be the first time that a partner in a romantic relationship did something like this.
We never slept over at each other's houses or places. We never hung out with each other's friends. This is not yes, you're oh my gosh, 2 months, that's a long time. It's really not when there's 15 other things that you're focusing on and have such a strong gut on what I want and the person I want to be with. And it was very obvious that he was not that person. And so
there's no way to detect if someone is lying or telling the truth. Do not believe a single person on YouTube that claims otherwise. We've looked at this from a lot of different angles for decades and decades, because of course, if there was a way, even if we could bump the scale to, instead of just flipping a coin and taking a guess as to whether or not somebody's telling the truth, if we could bump it up to say 70% of the time we would be accurate regarding truth or not, then there would be so much money. The person who would develop that research and that method could be set for life. And there's been nothing like that. So I'm not claiming that, but I am saying that at least my fanciful notions of having a general sense of the markers of truthfulness, she is exhibiting, in that she is speaking freely and without hesitating, without saying the same phrase over and over again, which some people will do, when people are lying, especially in a situation like this where it's real chaotic and back and forth, they will have to, if they're going to lie well, they have to pass everything they say through a fake filter. Whereas when you are speaking truthfully, you don't have to do that. You can just spontaneously speak from the foundation of your memory. You could just spout whatever because you just know you're telling the truth, you know? So she is doing that. She's speaking rapidly and, you know, throwing stuff out there. And she's not obscuring things, seemingly. She knows that it is going to concern him if she were to reveal that detail that they had 2 months. If she were a liar, and, you know, maybe it was 9 months, but it doesn't, you know, who knows? But it sounds believable that it was 2 months. And maybe it was 2.5 months, and she's minimizing it to 2 months. Who knows? But if she were really trying to lie, you would imagine she would say, we dated twice, you know, and it was spread out between 3 weeks or so, you know. So I guess I'm just telling you that I obviously can't tell, but the more she talks, the more I believe her, which I can't know.
Okay, I'm not interested, but like, I continued to hook up with him. And I continued to like not address stuff that I should have addressed. I know I should have handled things differently, and like cannot get over that like this is where we're at. I genuinely did not think this was going to blow up. And
okay, I'm not a fan of her feeling like she has to throw herself under the bus like that. She doesn't have anyone to answer to. She did nothing wrong. And I don't know if she's saying that because she believes it, or she's saying it because she wants to accommodate him or something, or meet him in the middle, which wouldn't necessarily be a bad move. You know what I'm saying? You know, because she was saying, I shouldn't have let it string. And, you know, maybe that's her regretting. I mean, she would regret it at this point.
way that is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I feel like I like lost you this week. I just like don't know what else I can say
I know.
or do, or like I don't know what else to show you that like I'm here, and like I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be like doing this shit if this wasn't for you. Like
it hurts to see her suffer, and it's really annoying that he's doing this to her. But I will say that her reaction to all this is very healthy. She's not accusing or being hostile, which she would be understandable to do. So she's differentiated in that way, probably way more differentiated than I would be. And she is also not holding back. She's not shaming herself. She is not hiding or running away. You know, this is a big deal. And so she, I think, logically is thinking, well, I'm going to do my best. But, and I'm guessing there's a part of her that's like, if this never changes, like, I'm out. But I'm not there yet. So I'm going to try. I'm going to tell him the truth, and I'm going to try to reason with him. I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to show emotion, and I'm going to tell him that I care, you know, and I miss you because I feel like I've lost you for the past week. And so, you know, she's doing under the circumstances, it's a very healthy reaction that we can all admire. At least I can.
like this really sucks, but like if the end of it is like you and I figuring it out, then like I'll do it. But like you have to like meet me halfway.
I know. And I'm trying. I really am. I've been trying.
And it kind of looks that way, even though it's ridiculous to claim that. I think. I mean, we'll hear what the two Jabronis will say, but I believe him. I think he actually cares, but I think he's in this place of complete underfunctioning and incompetence, particularly when it comes to relationships and maybe when it comes to integrity, that he's just completely lost. And he thinks that he's powerless, but he's not.
But it's just been a lot. I hear it not only from my friends, but like my sister has mutual connections. She's just like, who is this girl that you're engaged to that was like with some other guy?
Yeah, it's telling, and it fits within my confirmation bias anyway of my hypothesis that when he's given a chance in a break of the conversation where it would make sense that he would explore and talk. He always goes to the people that want him to do something, particularly his sister, but others, his friends. He, at no point when there's a lull does he say, well, here's what's going on for me. I heard this and I care about you, and I'm doing this, and there's nothing, because he has never been allowed to do that, or has never allowed himself to do that, or something. It's a sole focus on, well, my sister is also telling me things, and you're telling me something, and then they're telling me, and I love you, and I love my sister, and I like my friends, and so there we go. End of paragraph, end of chapter, end of book. Because that's the way children think, right? That's the way most children think about big decisions like this. If like your parents, the parents usually drive a kid to school in the 5th grade, and the dad comes to the 5th grader and says, "Hey, champ, I don't know how to get to school because the car broke down. I don't know what to do." Well, most 5th graders would be like, "Oh, okay. Well, okay. What's gonna?" 5th graders are like, "Okay, Dad. Well, let's look at the bus schedule, and let's call the auto mechanic, and let's take a look under the hood, and let's call an Uber." Maybe some 5th graders would, but most would not. They would just sit there and, okay. Well, huh? What do you? They wait. That's what children do, because they're incompetent. They know they're incompetent, and they should be feeling incompetent about that, because we don't want to burden kids with adult shit like that. So that's what it looks like to me. It might not be that. It could be all sorts of things, but there's so many things that are pointing in that direction.
Never in my life had to defend my character. Never been in a situation.
And you shouldn't.
I'm here, I have to, because everyone's fucking talking and I'm not part of the conversation.
And that's what I'm saying sorry for that, because you don't deserve to get that type of treatment from people that don't know you.
You know what I mean? I could see how people watching this that don't have experience with this kind of thing would think that he's gaslighting. I'm just going to take a guess. I don't know if that's what people are saying, but I think this would be just a blaring neon sign of gaslighting for a lot of people. And it could be, but it's not my top hypothesis, because it's so weird, right? It's just such a weird thing. At least if you just look at the verbatim statements by him, when he says something like, "You don't," and then you're like, well, then why are you doing it? But 5th graders don't think they're doing anything. They're just waiting for someone to pick up the pieces.
Because I know you, I feel pretty damn well. I know you're one of the best people I've ever met.
And this is all fitting with my sense of what is going on in his heart and what he's capable of, empathy being one of the things. And when she starts to suffer and they're no longer talking about specifics, he cares. Now, he has a hard time really showing the kind of warmth that we would hope he would have, but he is capable of showing warmth. And he has a kind of a blank way of, it's weird, I was just looking at my finger, it looked like, I think I had my finger and it looked white, like there was no blood in my finger. I don't know if you saw that, but I don't know if it's just the camera or something. In my eyes, my hands look normal, but anyway. So that he, when he's saying these things, it looks like he doesn't mean them, and he might not, but I think he does. This is him stepping way outside of his comfort zone, right? And so he's new to this, and it might feel very warm to him, and he is being very communicative, but he has, he's got room to grow and more to get into. And so I tend to believe this, and that fits. It's weird, right? I can't imagine what y'all were thinking when you were watching this. I can't imagine what everyone... Now, my take could be completely wrong, and you have probably watched ahead, so if he proves himself to be some sort of psychopath, then the audience that calls him a psychopathic narcissist, they were right all along.
That's part of the reason I fell in love with you. I guess I'm just really trying to tell you, like, I'm struggling.
I do need like you to like work through this too. Like I'm frustrated that like this is like such a blockage. Like I don't think there's any.
I've been working through it all week.
If he right now demonstrates differently, then I'll eat my words. But he is saying that he's struggling, and I believe him. He could be lying, but I believe him. And to us, we're like, well, why? And if you are, then why aren't you figuring this out? You're just standing still and listening and doing nothing. You're the one, you have your hands on the wheel of the car. You act like you're in the trunk. You're in the driver's seat, pal. This is all you. So struggle, figure it out. And maybe he'll prove me wrong here, but the way it feels for him is, yeah, I'm struggling and I'm trying to figure this out. He probably doesn't know this consciously if my hypothesis is near the mark. But by struggling and by trying to figure out, he's waiting for the consensus of authorities to tell him what to do, and they haven't yet.
And I'm just like going to bed at night. She was just doing this with some other guy like right before she came here.
I was not going.
In addition to that is I think it's two things that are happening for him. I think it's the dependence and underfunctioning, but I also think it's just this childish jealousy, the way that a child, and certainly adults can have these kinds of jealousies. But given his inexperience and I think his general developmental level when it comes to dating and romance, that he has an extremely childish way of interpreting that data.
To bed with him at night.
I'm just saying, like, that's in my head, that's what it feels like. And it's been very hard for me to get past that.
I know this to be true. I let go 'cause.
And maybe that is a struggle for him. Maybe without any therapist to talk to and without any way through that, he actually, given his childish, immature, lack of experience mindset, that it is so hard for him to let go of that. And he is trying to let go of it, maybe, or is looking for answers, maybe even reaching out to people for answers. And we kind of know his friends and family are not cheering for this, so they wouldn't necessarily be motivated to help. And who knows if they could be helpful, but there's a chance that he actually is struggling with that, even though for us, we're like, what's the struggle? But I don't, maybe y'all have a completely different point of view. Maybe you're like, I don't know, if I was in his shoes, it would bug me too. You know, there's various different senses of that. And I suppose cultural expectations play a role.
You okay?
No, to be honest.
Okay.
What do you want to do about tonight?
I don't know. I'm starting to think they probably shouldn't come.
Yeah, I think Lauren is reaching a breaking point and maybe losing motivation to try, which would make sense. You know, logically, she could ask herself, I don't know what's going on here, but if this is a sign of things to come, you know, take me off the list. And now he's saying that they're going to call it off and the Jabronis aren't going to come over and we'll never get to hear from them. Not that it matters that much, but I was kind of looking forward to that.
I've been tempted to just walk away. Friends, family, they're like, why can't you guys just date? Mm-hmm. I was like, we could. Neither of us have to be here, but we're choosing to be here. I'm like really trying to like get back to where we were literally a week ago. I've never felt this type of like love for someone else.
Right. So all this is, yeah, I mean, it's confirmation bias for myself, but it fits with my top hypothesis. He said basically that before, but that's a reiteration of that he's never had even close to this kind of relationship. And I think a lot of us would even look at this relationship, and though on paper they're very close, right, because they're about to get married potentially, which I don't think will happen, but we'll see. But I wouldn't say that their love is like super deep and intimate, you know what I mean? Who knows from the edit. And for him, this is by far the closest he's ever been to someone, you know? So I think that is a tick in the column of this is a huge leap forward for him, which is good for him. But he has so much further to go before he can navigate even the simplest of barriers.
I'm still in love with you, and I still am there with you. I'm just also trying to wrap my head around this whole situation.
I love you too, and I want to marry you. Like, there's no question about that. I don't know how else to like say that that's where I'm at now. And like, I don't know how else to communicate that or show that. And like,
Yeah.
I want more than anything for like you and I to be okay. And like,
Now, there's a weird storyline forward in which she really puts the pressure on him, and since he responds to overfunctioners and authority, he would go along with it even though he has no idea what he wants.
I don't want to give up.
2 August ago, I told the truth, oh, but you didn't like it.
what do you want to do?
I have no idea.
Yeah. So there's another story where he's manipulating, or he's looking for a way out, or he doesn't care. And that is possible, but it's also possible that this is in my hypothesis that when she asks, what do you want to do? He says no idea. He actually has no idea. Like, he's devoid of any idea. He doesn't even know how to generate an idea. He doesn't trust himself to even think about having an idea, let alone following through with that idea.
I'd rather us like not go our separate ways tonight.
Okay. I mean, see, that's where, like, I would, because I don't feel comfortable right now, like, being here. I'm not trying to walk away,
I'm getting paid.
but I also don't know what else to do.
That's just the way life goes. I like to slam.
That kind of says a lot, and I think Lauren would hear a lot in that, because she's saying that she wants to spend the night with him and hang out. And he says that he doesn't feel comfortable with that and doesn't really give any answer, other than I think his implied indictment of her as a possible person to be with because she dated someone in the past. Yeah. I keep waiting for it to implode, and then Lauren somehow sticks with it, because he certainly isn't facilitating that, you know. It's interesting to think about if they had dated in the real world outside of the pods, and maybe they'll do that. They could be in this weird limbo for a long time, based on, if my hypothesis is close to the mark, a lot of people, when they date, they look like they're fully functioning adults, and they are in a lot of ways, but as you know, it's because it's not something that people know about or talk about, that you could have someone that is fully adult, 32 years old, right, is how old he is. Good job, competent, pays his bills, is responsible, knows how to fix things. And yet, when it comes to particular domains, like when it comes to romantic attachments or even any sort of close attachment, that the individual could be operating as if they were very young, like a kindergartner or fifth grade or whatever, you know, someone way before they would be expected to even know where to begin when it comes to something like this. So it's sort of like the movie Big with Tom Hanks in a sense, right? Because he had a job, and it is kind of, actually, that is an interesting analogy for him because by the end, I think, is his name Josh in the movie? Joshy, that he rose in the ranks of the toy business and eventually actually figured out how to be competent and be responsible. I mean, at first he's just sort of randomly good at his job, but then eventually he figures it out and starts to push back on his friend who just wants to have fun all the time. Can you tell I watched this movie recently? And but when he is in a very, it doesn't age well because the woman who likes Tom Hanks' character is essentially, do they have sex in the movie? At the very least, I'm pretty sure at least they have some sort of intimate contact, kissing or something. Because I think the character, he's 12 or young, like, you know, he's not like 17, but even so, right? A minor. And we're watching a minor have a romantic interest with an adult, and it's supposed to be all just fine because it's a guy. It's supposed to be okay. Anyway, so we could be watching a version of that. Does that mean we should be looking at Lauren in a way that she's like some sort of predator? No, I'm just joking. No.
Doors closed.
Go meet up with your friends.
Yeah, I just need to
Yeah.
figure things out more.
Yeah.
There's a strong second place hypothesis area that he is not interested in her. And in addition to that, given his lack of experience and wisdom, he has no idea how to, because that would be another navigation, right? Of how do I continue to be on the show while I don't want to come across as a jerk face, and I'm not even really quite sure if I want to be with her, but I'm pretty sure it's no, and I don't even want to hang out with her. And how do I navigate that? And given his lack of experience, he could be doing all of this, honestly. And the more I say it out loud, it does have a strong second place hypothesis area for me. So it could be a different effect of his lack of experience. You know what I mean? All right. Well, if you would like to get a personalized video from me to you or someone else that you know, happy birthday, happy anniversary, congratulations, that sort of thing, go to the website and order a Kirkgram. I usually have about a 5 to 10 day turnaround time, sometimes sooner than that, depending. And also we have merch. You can click the link below and get all sorts of things, including this mug, which I love. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.